YouTube, today is Tuesday. Let's rifle through some orders and see what shipped. First up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Air Jordan 11 Concords. This is the newest release. These are somewhat beat up, pretty good on the tops, a little yellow on the bottoms. These are heading to Texas for a little below $250 shipped, and that's what's first on what's shipped. Next up on what's shipping, we got this beater pair of Flint Blue 7s. Pretty beat up condition, but these sold for the low, like 60 plus shipping. These are heading to Delaware, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got another beater pair. These are some Air Jordan 1 Low Royals. Obviously, if you guys remember, Royal 1 Lows or any Jordan 1 Low was not worth any money. Now they're worth a good amount of money. These are very worn, but they still sold for over 200 bucks, and they're heading to Arizona. Very happy about the outcome, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have somewhat of a special one. As you can see, it's a pink box, autographed by Jeff Staple. This is the SB Dunk Reed Space Exclusive Pigeon Edition. The only difference is, as you guys can see, maybe you can see there, the engraving. These are headed to New York, sold for a very good amount of change. Very happy about the outcome, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Nike Foamposite 1s. This is the gold edition. Pretty good condition on these. These are heading to Maryland. I had these up on eBay for a long time. These sold for a bit over 200 shipped, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Air Jordan 11. These are the platinum tints. This pair is actually returned because of a scuff or two, and I just relisted them, and they sold. So these are heading to Louisiana for about 150 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got a pair of Air Jordan 1s. These are heading to Massachusetts. Air Jordan One Obsidian. I probably said it once, probably said it twice. These are going to keep going up in value. If you can get them for a good price, definitely grab them. Really, really nice pair. This pre-owned pair sold for about $275 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got a pair of Air Foamposite Air Force One cups, I think they're called, something like that. These are really cool. They just really don't sell. This is a size 8 with no box. Had them up for a while now. Ended up getting 100 plus shipping, so I'm definitely happy about that. These are heading to Pennsylvania, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up, we have an order heading to Colorado. We got the Butt Fumble Mark Sanchez Authentic Nike size 56 jersey. Now, the quality on these Nike Authentics is really good. The problem is the quality on the fake Nike Authentics like these are really good. So it's really hard to tell. One of the best things to look for, obviously, are the patches, the Nike symbol, the colors of the jersey, and obviously the tag here. The tags on the fakes are like a good 2 inches above this one. So you see how this is kind of proportioned to the bottom. Usually the fakes are higher. Again, the fakes, the quality is like really good, so if you like wearing fake jerseys, it is what it is. Anyway, this jersey sold for about 40 plus shipping. Definitely a good price if you're looking for a Mark Sanchez Authentic, but who's looking for a Mark Sanchez Authentic? Probably nobody other than this guy. Anyway, this heading to Colorado, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got this beater pair of Air Huarache Runs. Just some Nike ID joints. These are heading to Oklahoma for about 40 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up, heading to Oregon, we got this really beat pair of Slam Dunk 5 Lows, or Dunk from Above 5 Lows. These are heading to Oregon for about 40 plus shipping. No, actually about 35 plus shipping, 50 ship total. And that's what's next on what's shipping. Last but not least, on today's episode of What's Shipping, we have the Air Jordan 6 Slam Dunk Edition. Really cool sneaker. Really hard to come across. Very rare in small sizes. This is a 9.5 pre-owned. These sold for about $350 plus shipping. They're heading to New York. And that's what's last on the day for what's shipping. YouTube, what's good? Today is Thursday. Got like 15 items to pack up. Let's see what's shipping. First off on what's shipping, we got an item going to GOAT. This is the Air Jordan 3 Sport Blue. These are really beat up. This is actually really good colorway if you ask me. Very clean, different. Anyway, these sold for about $125, and that's what's first on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got a very nice Deuce McAllister jersey. This is an authentic. It has seen better days, has some marks, has some yellowing. This is heading to Louisiana, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have an overseas jersey sale. Here we have another Raiders jersey. As you can see here, we got the helmet tag authentic. These sell really good, like I told you guys. This actually sold for over 100 plus shipping and heading overseas. Very happy about that. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair that I believe is going overseas as well, even though it's heading to Oregon. Here we have the roller derby Nike SB Dunk Low Pro. Really cool sneaker. I know they go for a lot brand new. This pair is used. I got about $4.50 plus shipping for them. You know, I didn't necessarily want to sell these, but they're a hard sale. Not everyone wants to pay $500 for a used pair of roller derby SBs. So happy to get these out. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got a clean Patrick Ewing Adidas Hardwood Classic Swingman. This one right here is heading to Cali for about 50 shipped. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we got another pair of Dunk Nike SBs. This is the Snake Eye edition. Pretty cool sneaker. These I've had for quite some time now. I woke up to a sale of them heading to Wisconsin for about 200 plus shipping. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a damaged box. Here we have another pair of the Vapor Max Pluses. I've definitely went over this colorway recently. This is a size 10. It's heading to Illinois for about $190 plus shipping. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Here we have a beautiful pair heading to California. These are the Air Jordan 1 2016 Vans. These are in very, very good condition. I've had these up for quite some time now for $666. A couple days after the Last Dance documentary premiered. These sold. Very happy about that because I've actually made some new purchases on my own that I need some money for. Here's some quick details about this sale. First off, if you ever make sales over $350, make sure you put signature confirmation. It's better to be safe than sorry. So with these, obviously I put signature confirmation. Another thing that's very important is the buyer of these told me to switch the address to a different address. He messaged me this through eBay. You would think that, yeah, if a buyer is telling you to switch your address, you should switch the address so you can ship it to the right address for the buyer. Negative. Never, ever, ever, ever change the address provided on a PayPal transaction. It's a very easy way to get scammed. Even though the buyer tells me, oh, I need you to ship to blah, blah. If you ship to blah, blah and not that PayPal transaction address, that's it. You're going to lose your money and your item. So, obviously, I didn't switch the address. These beauties are heading to California. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have two pairs of beater Jordan 4s. And surprisingly, they're both going to Illinois. So first off, we got the size 13 Columbia, aka Legend Blue. These are really cooked. And second off, we got the white cement classic Nike Air on the back. These are really cooked as well. Both of these are heading to Illinois. These for a little over 100 shipped. These for a little less than 100 shipped. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got the classic Rolly Fingers Mitchell & Ness 5XL jersey. This is a really cool jersey. Sold for about 80 plus shipping. I just realized there's a hole right here. Not good. Either way, we're going to ship this out. If the buyer has any issue, I'll send him a partial refund. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have two orders heading to GOAT. Here we have the Take Flight 8s. These are a size 13 with no box in very good condition. These sold for about $150. Next up, we have the Winlike 96 Air Jordan 11. I actually misplaced one of the shoes to these way back in the day. Finally found them, had them up on eBay for quite some time. Finally sold on GOAT though for about $145. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have another GOAT order. Here are the Air Jordan 11 Low Barons, size 13, gently worn. Had these for what feels like forever, so definitely happy to get them out. They sold for about $140, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. I believe this might be the last order going out on What's Shipping. Here we have the Nike Air Max 2 CB94. Very beautiful sneaker. This is actually my size. I wanted to keep them, but I actually ended up getting $270 for them, so I'm very happy about that. Again, these are probably re-retro in the years to come, so not really too worried about it. That's what's last on the day on What's Shipping. YouTube was good. Happy Friday. I'm in here packing some stuff up. I got like 15 packages to pack up, but I'm only going to pack up like 6 or 7 just because a lot of stuff I can't find right now, and I have till Monday to ship it out. Let's see what's shipped. First off on what's shipping, we got a Nike Free Flyknit Plus. I don't know if you guys remember these, but when these hit the scene, it was definitely crazy. Retailing these back in the day was like $160. I remember I found a lot of these in outlets. This particular pair I found in a big buyout. These sold for about $145 on GOAT, and that's what's first on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got these beater Crimson 3s. These are heading to Ohio for $75 shipped. Nothing much to say about these, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a rare blank Mitchell & Ness Hardwood Classics Old Authentic. It's a size 56. As much as I wanted to make this into a custom piece, it ended up selling on eBay for a little over 200 bucks. Definitely happy about that. This is heading overseas, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we got this retro Michael Jordan brand kind of jersey. I have a lot of these similar items. I have a lot of them on eBay. They never sell. This one actually finally sold, so I'm happy about it. Sold for about 25 bucks. This piece is heading to Washington, and that's what's next on what's. Next up on what's shipping, we got this vintage Milwaukee Bucks Hardwood Classic size XL warm-up shooting shirt. This is a pretty cool piece. Has some marks on it. This is heading to California, and that's what's next on what's. Next up on what's shipping, we got another NFL authentic jersey. This is a Cleveland Browns jersey. Tag size 56. This is also heading to California for about 35 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Roshe Runs. These are the Yeezy FB editions, I believe they used to be called. It's funny because I went crazy trying to find these back in the day. I think I paid like $180 for my pair. This pair sold for like $45 plus shipping, heading to Texas. Crazy how times change. And that's what's last on the day on what's shipping. YouTube, what's good? It's Sunday. I'm actually in here today packing some orders up. We got a little bit over 20 orders to ship out on Monday, so I'm just getting a head start. Let's see what's shipped. First off, we have what I believe is called the Adventure Pack Nike Dunks. These are quite old. These are from 2006. These I've had up for quite some time. They sold for about $75 plus shipping. Happy about the outcome. These are heading to Cali, and that's what's first on the day for what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Nike SBs. These are heading to Delaware. These I've actually had up for a very long time. I had them up for 100 plus shipping. I have had plenty of offers like 80 plus shipping, 75 plus shipping. Obviously eBay now, you have to sell an item for over $100 or $100 to not pay fees. So I waited and waited, and finally someone hit that buy it now button. These are heading to Delaware for 100 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up, we have a pair headed to PA. This is an Air Jordan 1 OG size 8, the ever so sought after top 3 edition. This is a very lightly used size 8. We have these listed for $550. They actually sold for about $485 plus shipping. Definitely happy about the outcome. Someone actually made an offer a week ago or so, roughly the same offer, and never paid, so I had to relist them, and finally they sold. So definitely happy about that, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair heading to Connecticut. This is the Air Jordan 8 Take Flight. Again, if you guys remember when this sneaker came out, it was actually really sought after and really hard to get. This pair is heading to Connecticut for a little over 100 shipped, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair that usually when I get in, I always say, hey, I could probably get $100 for those. Thankfully, I got $100 for these. This is the Nike Christmas LeBron 11. Again, these usually go for roughly $100 if they're in pretty good condition. These are heading to Ohio, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have a pair of Air Jordan 13s. This is the Altitude 13. I believe these were re-released in 2017. Very good sneaker. Now all of a sudden they're going up a little bit. Probably something to do with the Last Dance. People all of a sudden want those retros that they've always wanted. These are heading to New York for about $175 plus shipping, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have another pair heading to New York. This is the Varsity Red Air Jordan 6. Man, this was like really easy to get back in the day. I remember I had a pair too. Very nice sneaker, harder and harder to find. Suede on these is very, very nice. These are heading to New York. This is another pair that I had up for $200. I was waiting for a $150 offer. I was waiting. People would offer $150 and never pay. Finally, this guy made an offer and actually paid. So these are heading out, and that's what's next on what's shipping. Next up on what's shipping, we have an Air Huarache Light. This is one of my favorite finds from a big collection I bought back in the day. I thought they'd sell a lot quicker than they did, and they really took a long time to sell. I'm talking about like over a year and a half, 2 years probably. These beauties are heading to California for about $150 plus shipping, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got this Washington Bullets Michael Jordan jersey. It's a 4XL and it is super beat. Funny story about this jersey, I had it up for like $5 plus 15 shipping. No one bid, no one cared. Then of course The Last Dance aired, and this sold for like $30 shipped, so I'm definitely happy about that. This is heading to Texas, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got this pair of Air Max 95s. These are heading to Chicago. They sold for like a little over 50 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have a pair heading to Indiana. This is the powder blue Air Jordan 3. Not a lot of people like this sneaker, but the quality on it is really good for what it is. So either way, these are brand new, a little yellowing, headed to Indiana for about 200 plus shipping, and that is what's next. Drop the box. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got a pair of Air Jordan 11 lows. These are cool gray lows. These sold for about 100 plus shipping. They're headed to North Carolina, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair of Nike Air Force Special Forces. I think this is called the Salt colorway. These are heading to Utah. Definitely happy that these sold. I actually got about 160 out of these. It might be a colorway that people still look for. Sadly though, the box is huge and this pair is heavy, so to Utah it's probably going to cost me like 22 bucks. Either way, these are headed out, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, guys, I need to keep reminding myself, do not buy Timberlands for the resale. Got this pair of Constructs, thought I could resell them, ended up selling them for about 75 shipped. They're heading to PA. This box is really heavy, so just keep that in mind if you're willing to try to sell Timberland boots wherever you're selling them to. Like this pair to California would probably be like 25 bucks to ship, something like that. Anyway, these sold. They're headed to Pennsylvania, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair heading to North Carolina. This is the Saucony Cushwacker edition. This is a size 5 men's, I believe. Yeah, 5, so super rare. I believe these sold on 420, so you know that 420 Cushwacker vibe. These are heading out, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, heading to Michigan, we got these really cool Adidas Forum mids. Again, these are really sweet, man. Definitely don't see these every day. These sold for about 100 shipped, and they're heading to Detroit, Michigan, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair heading to New Hampshire. This is the Air Jordan 1 mid shattered backboard. Pretty cool sneaker for Air Jordan 1 mid. These sold for a little over 100 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we got a pair heading to New York. This is the Air Max 97 Classic Gold Quick Strike. Very classic sneaker. These sold for a little over 150 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. And last up on this Sunday segment of What's Shipping, we have the Air Jordan 3 Unite. I've probably said it once or twice. I think this sneaker is going to go up in value. I'm definitely going to be mad I didn't stock up on them in the future. Either way, this used 8.5 is heading to Missouri for about 170 shipped, and that is what's next and last for the day on What's Shipping. Today on What's Shipping, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 orders to pack up. I had one order I couldn't find, sadly. Let's get right into it. First up, we got this nice T-Mac Toronto Raptors Michelin S Authentic Swingman. This is a 2XL, sold for about 75 plus shipping, and that's what's first on What's Shipping. Next up, we got this cool, I believe, Iron Pigs baseball jersey. I like this jersey a lot because I personally thrifted this at a Goodwill down the shore. This only sold for about 25 shipped, and it's heading to Utah. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, heading to Cali, we have these neck face Nike SBs, I believe they're called. These sold for about 175 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair of white infrared 6s. Again, I believe these sold probably because of the Last Dance documentary. All those OG colorways are getting more and more sought after, as they should be. These sold for about 175 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a POSHMARK sale. These are the Nike Air Flight Huaraches. This is actually one of my favorite sneakers, not this colorway, but the Fab 5 white, purple, and blue edition. These are heading to Maryland for about 130 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a GOAT order. These I'm pretty excited about. They sold for about $250. I had them sitting on eBay for a while for $250, so definitely happy about the outcome. These are heading to GOAT, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. This Weapon X Brian Dawkins jersey is heading to Oregon probably sold because of the NFL draft. Very nice piece. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan, so we love Brian Dawkins on this side. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have a pair heading overseas. This is an old school pair of Adidas Campus 2s. Nice black suede on these boys. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Last up on What's Shipping, we have a pair that holds a lot of sentimental value to me. This is the Air Jordan 23. Not this colorway in particular, but I actually saved up enough money to buy the black colorway of these when they came out back in 2008 or 2007, because I graduated high school in 2008 and I really wanted to wear the newest Jordans to walk the stage. So I dropped that 185. It was like a really big deal for me back then. Anyway, this pair sold for a little over 100 shipped. A lot of yellowing on these, but still a nice pair. And that's what's last of the day on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have a pair of Brooklyn Projects SBs. I've had these on eBay for quite some time now for $125. We've had offers of $70, $80, $90. Again, on eBay, you want to break that $100 mark so you don't pay fees. Finally, someone made the $100 plus shipping offer and we accepted. These are heading to Massachusetts, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have a GOAT order. These are the white on white cream Yeezy 350 boosts. These are pretty beat up. They sold for about $200. Happy with that. And that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have a pair that just sold this morning. Very happy about this sale because the buyer asked for extra pictures. Usually when buyers ask for extra pictures, they end up not buying the item or they make a terrible offer. And I'm just kind of like, why'd you even ask for extra pictures if you were going to offer me $200 less than my price? These I had up for $150. Buyer saw extra pictures, offered me $120, paid right away. So definitely happy about that. I believe these are heading to Texas, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Today on What's Shipping, we have this pair of Air Jordan 1 low metallic navies. This pair has some yellowing on one midsole. I literally offered these to a friend the other day for $150. He declined. They sold on eBay for $220 plus shipping. So definitely happy about that outcome. That's what's first on What's Shipping. Next up on What's Shipping, we have this beat up pair of Jordan 11 low cool grays. These sold for about $140 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Next up, we have this old Reebok Swingman Shaquille O'Neal size 2XL jersey. This is heading to Florida, and they sold for about $50 shipped, and that's what's next on What's Shipping. Last up on this short day of What's Shipping, we have this very nice Jermaine O'Neal authentic Adidas jersey. Jermaine O'Neal had a lot of jerseys back in the day. He was a very good player, so a lot of old school jerseys that come up, especially being authentics, end up being Jermaine O'Neal's. Really nice piece. It's heading to Oregon, I believe, to head overseas. Sold for about $100 plus shipping, and that's what's next on What's Shipping.